I got a name for you guys, and I'm going to toss this out there. And I know a lot of people are going to look at this and they're going to say, you're crazy, man. Like, would never happen. When I was in Indianapolis, I had a couple of conversations, learned a lot of things about the Pittsburgh Steelers, the direction that they're looking, and where they would like to go in free agency and the NFL draft. I've tossed some of those names out there. Brian Allen is the big one. Obviously, he's, center. I released my first mock draft post NFL Combine, did not have a center in it. Everybody ripped me a new one. They're like, what the hell is this? What, the Steelers aren't going full draft without a center. I want to agree with that. I'm just saying I'm not 100% sold that the Steelers aren't going to sign Brian Allen, and then by the time that they're drafting in the third round, there's even a center available, or at least one that they're interested in. So that's where, things get a little confusing there. This is defensive side of the ball, way bigger than Brian Allen. Reports came out last year that they were in on a trade for this guy, and everybody was like, there were two sides of the coin here. It was the Justin Fields thing once again. It was, yes, this should, oh my gosh, I can't believe they're going to go do this. This is awesome. And then this is garbage. What is this bullshit? Not going to happen. Never. And I kind of fell on this is nonsense. This is never going to happen. What are we doing? Went to Indianapolis, was told I was on the wrong side of the coin here, was on the wrong side of the fence, and I need to jump back over. I still don't know if I agree with the signing, but I'm going to toss it out there. Chase Young, Washington Commanders, San Francisco 49ers, former first overall pick. His market value right now is $13 million for a one-year deal. The Pittsburgh Steelers obviously have a decision to make when it comes to Larry Ogunjobi. If they release him, I believe they save $5 million, somewhere in that neighborhood. He's set to make $13 million this season. Larry Ogunjobi is not a guy that, if I'm sticking around, I'm keeping him, because I just don't think he's playing to his contract. And I don't know if Chase Young is my top option. I really, truly do not. I'm just reporting what I have been told by more than one human being, that the Pittsburgh Steelers have some interest in Chase Young. 7.5 sacks last season, 7 tackles for loss. He's 24 years old. The dude is young and has a ton of potential left. And again, you got to drag that potential out of him. You got to bring out that first overall pick. If he has a massive year in Pittsburgh this season, you're looking at a major deal next year, which obviously brings questions. But if we're going into 2024, I'm looking at Chase Young as a better option than Larry Ogunjobi. The same value, I'm 100% choosing Chase Young over Larry Ogunjobi. And just potential-wise, I'm again choosing Chase Young over Larry Ogunjobi. I think you could bump him inside. I think he'd work well as like that defensive end, that 3 technique for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Obviously, he plays a lot of outside, but I think that's another option. I think you can move him around, be able to move Keanu Benton around, another versatile guy that you could look at and just say, the Steelers have so many options when it comes to their defensive line now, whereas with the group that they have right now, they don't really have those same options. I think in that case, it makes a lot of sense. Again, I don't know if I'm giving up $13 million for Chase Young. I don't know if he's the top guy. I'm just saying what I have been told to monitor. And if Chase Young's there, maybe. Just possibly maybe. Nick, were you ever in on the Chase Young stuff? Did you have a side of the fence when that was going on?
I was in on the Chase Young stuff, but I also, before you graciously hired me, I was doing a Take Command, which is a Washington Commanders podcast, and they were on the fence about him. So if they were on the fence about him, I was kind of more so a little worried about him being healthy and what he would look like. Now, he had a good, healthy season last year, but again, the results weren't exactly what you would expect from the name value of Chase Young. So I'm kind of off on him.
All right, so let me ask this, though. Were the Washington Commanders in on anybody? Was anybody down there in on any? I mean, that team was as bad as bad gets, and they had the worst ownership in football. Like, was it just like, we hate the world and we hate everybody in the world?
The one thing they could hang on to, though, was their defensive line. Like, everybody loved Montez Sweat.
But they didn't. They didn't hang on to anybody, though.
Well, they did.
Remember that?
Before last season, but yeah.
That's true. I don't know if he's my top guy. I don't know if he's a name that I would even consider if I'm the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm just tossing it out there as like my eyes got real big when it came out of somebody's mouth down in Indy, and the more I heard it, the more I went, "What are we talking about?" But all I got to do is, my job is to listen and tell you guys, and that's what I'm doing. I'm listening and I'm telling you guys, look for Chase Young. He's going to be on the radar. I don't know if he makes sense, but I think versatility wise, he does make some sense for what the Pittsburgh Steelers are looking to do and for them to have more options along that defensive line.